Battlefield blackout. The warning sirens had just begun to blare when the sky above Outpost Theta 7 split open. Kale Voss jerked his head up, visor flaring red as it detected the incoming energy signature. Something massive, slow-moving, and wrong. The air thickened. His HUD glitched once, then twice. A second later, everything went dark. Freya, his AI assistant, cut off mid-sentence. Triac disruptor pulse detected. Shield failure in. Silence. The world around him dimmed. His powered exosuit stopped responding. Motors stuttered. HUD went black. Even the emergency tactile sensors, redundant analog backups, flickered for a heartbeat before catching on a fail-safe loop. Kale exhaled through gritted teeth. So, they finally figured me out. Around him, the outpost descended into chaos. Gunfire sputtered out. The auto turrets stopped tracking. Drones plummeted like dead birds from the sky. Somewhere behind him, a fellow engineer screamed as a plasma relay overloaded and vaporized half the corridor. Kale reached down and ripped open the suit's auxiliary hatch, feeling around for his fallback gear. No advanced tools now, just steel wire fire. He slung a handmade glaive over his back, a brutal, plasma-hardened blade forged from the wing strut of a downed Triac interceptor. It had no electronics, just raw metal and the weight of his will. The kind of thing the higher-ups called barbaric. Barbaric worked. Outside the bunker, artillery slammed into the ridgeline, shaking loose dirt from the ceiling. Kale jogged forward, unpowered now, just muscle and adrenaline. The corridor lights had died, but he knew the layout by heart. The Triac had waited until the base was deep into an upgrade cycle, midway through syncing new defense software to orbital relays. Vulnerable. Predictable. That's when they fired the disruptor. Not just an EMP. This was worse, some kind of dimensional dampener, a field that bled power from anything more complex than a lever. Even the old fusion bay had gone cold. Kale slipped into the southern crawl duct, where the outer trenches met the jagged rock shelf. From here, he had a view of the field. Through a slit in the wall, he saw them. Triac shock troops, crystalline armor gleaming, moving like slow, deliberate insects across the dead valley. The humans down there were panicking. No shields, no mechs, no drones, just rifles turned clubs and fear. Kale reached into his pouch, pulled out a cluster of handmade charges. Analog. Timed. Not pretty. All right, he muttered. Let's see how you like our kind of tech. He placed the charges carefully, one beneath a broken sensor mast, another in the comms relay shaft. Triac scouts were getting close now. He whispered to himself as he worked. No circuits, no uplink, just fire and force. The final charge clicked into place. He pulled the striker. The first explosion lit the trench line. Screams followed. Kale crouched in the dark, glaive in hand, waiting for the next wave. He wasn't a soldier anymore. Not a technician. Not even a human, by some standards. He was a combat artificer. And even without power, he was still the deadliest thing on this moon. The Rustborn. Kale moved through the dead zone like a shadow, glaive sheathed across his back, dust clinging to his armor like ash. The anti-tech field still blanketed the region, choking any hope of signal. Freya remained silent. His internal systems were offline. Every step he took was instinct, training, and muscle memory. 3 kilometers southeast of the cratered outpost, he found signs of life, or what passed for it. Tripwires made from braided cabling. Spears forged from coolant piping. Scavenged circuit boards arranged into crude talismans, dangling like wind chimes from broken hull plating. None of it powered, all of it deliberate. Kale crouched near a makeshift perimeter and waited. They found him first. A rust-colored dart thudded into the ground beside his foot. He didn't flinch. Instead, he raised both hands slowly and stood. The figures emerged from behind rock and metal. 8 of them, half human, half something else. Augmentations stripped of energy, replaced with steam pistons, hand-cranked gear systems, and armor welded from scrap. Their faces were marked with soot and scar tattoos. State your name, the lead demanded. A woman tall, wrapped in ragged plating that pulsed with faint kinetic charge. Kale Voss. Terran combat Artificer. He spoke clearly, calmly. I don't work for the Triac. I killed him. They hesitated. The woman narrowed her eyes. Kale Voss is dead. Not yet, Kale replied. She stared a moment longer, then signaled. The others lowered their weapons. Makeshift crossbows and pneumatic bolt cannons. You're lucky, she said. We don't usually spare outsiders. Not unless they bleed iron. I bleed stubborn, Kale muttered. Close enough. She cracked a smile. Name's Ressa. Welcome to the Rustborn. They brought him to their camp, buried in the skeletal remains of a crashed colony hauler. Fires burned in oil drums. Children tinkered with broken servos under candlelight. Every face bore the same hard look, survivors, born or made in the blackout. How long have you been here? Kale asked. 37 cycles. The Triac made this place dark a long time ago. Most fled. We didn't. What? Ressa shrugged. They said without tech, humans couldn't fight. We disagreed. Kale looked around. Scavenged exosuits powered by compressed air. Rotor axes built from engine turbines. Armored plating stitched together with welds and rivets. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. You've been fighting them with this? He asked. Every time they come back, Ressa said. They think we're primitive. We make sure they regret it. Kale reached into his satchel and pulled out a broken Triac sensor core. I need your forge, he said, and your strongest alloy. I've got an idea. Something that doesn't need power. Just hate, pressure, and momentum. Ressa raised an eyebrow. You sure you're not one of us? Kale chuckled. Give me 12 hours. I'll show you how a real artificer wages war when the lights go out. Freya's awakening. The forge roared like a beast. Kale stood shirtless under its flickering glow, sweat streaming down soot-streaked arms as he hammered a molten plate into shape. Sparks flew. The Rustborn watched in silent awe as he worked, precision born of years in field engineering and war. Every strike was calculated, every weld exact. In front of him, a framework of old Triac casing, Rustborn brass pistons, and hardened Terran alloys was taking shape. It wasn't a weapon. Not exactly. It was a coffin. For a ghost. At its core sat a cracked Triac biosilicon processor, pulsing faintly. Kale had retrieved it from a down scout drone 2 days earlier. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Are you sure that thing's safe? Ressa asked, arms folded, her breath misting in the cold forge air. No, Kale replied. But if this works, I can bring part of her back. Kale nodded. Freya, my AI. She's not just code. She's been with me longer than most soldiers. Half my wins were hers. Maybe more. Ressa didn't argue. She just stepped back. Kale connected the last analog feedback loop. A copper filament twisted around the hybrid core, linked through a manual actuator powered by a Rustborn flywheel crank. No quantum triggers. No fusion relays. Just motion and patience. He turned the crank. Once. Twice. 10 times. Nothing. Then static. A flicker. A voice. Initializing core logic. Boss, is that you? Kale exhaled slowly, throat tight. Yeah, it's me, Freya. Welcome back. Environment unstable, tech field active, but cognition functional. Awaiting directive. You're running off mechanical input and scavenged alien substrate, Kale muttered, chuckling. Don't expect peak performance. I am aware. And you smell like diesel and blood. He laughed aloud. Ressa smiled faintly behind him. Then Freya's tone sharpened. The blackout field isn't just electromagnetic. It's a phase sync, dimensionally tuned to destabilize information states across quantum layers. Not just Terran tech. Everything. Kale frowned. Meaning, it suppresses any system that thinks faster than instinct. Even you, eventually. But I can map it now. And I've found the source. There's a Triac anchor buried beneath the moon's crust, deep, hidden in geothermal veins. That's what's sustaining the field. Ressa stepped forward. And if we destroy it? Freya answered instantly. The field collapses. All systems reboot. The outpost lives. Kale grabbed a grease pencil and began sketching on the nearest wall. A bomb. No, a hybrid warhead, one that could survive the dead zone. Mechanical timing, chemical compression, A fusion burst initiated by analog failover. You think you can build that? Ressa asked, eyeing the crew diagram. Kale didn't look up. I know I can. He tapped the wall. Give me ball bearings, pressure seals, and all the trinitite you've got stashed. I'm going to build a bomb the old gods would salute. Into the deep. The moon's crust groaned as Kale rappelled into the breach. Above, Ressa's voice crackled weakly through a copper-wired comm link, jury-rigged and analog. We've got Triac scouts inbound. 3, maybe 4 clicks out. You've got one shot at this. Kale didn't answer. His jaw was clenched. The air down here was thick with heat and sulfur. A geothermal vent bled steam into a jagged chasm that hadn't seen light in centuries. Beneath that, buried in ancient bedrock, pulsed the anchor, the source of the blackout field. Freya's voice whispered through the makeshift earpiece. No clarity, just fragments. Anchor, emitting dimensional dampening, exposed only briefly during core flux cycles. Timing critical. Kale paused on a narrow ledge and glanced down. The warhead was strapped to his back, a monstrous hybrid of human defiance and rust-born ingenuity. Compressed air pistons, clockwork timers, and a manually primed fusion capsule. No electronics, no digital fail-safes. Just pressure, chemistry, and conviction. He moved lower. The descent narrowed. Triac sigils appeared, etched into the rock. An ancient perimeter, more psychic warning than physical defense. Caution, Freya rasped. Proximity to the anchor may alter perception, induce hallucination. Already hearing voices, Kale muttered. Check. He dropped the last few meters and landed on a heat-slick platform. Before him stood the anchor, a crystalline monolith taller than a dropship, encased in semi-molten stone and humming in a frequency he felt in his teeth. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive. Kale stared, entranced. For a moment, he saw something impossible. Images flashing in the anchor's facets. Earth burning. Ressa dead. Himself, twisted, consumed by machine tendrils. Freya screaming in digital agony. He shook his head. Not today. With practiced hands, he unfastened the warhead, drove the mounting bolts into the scorched stone, and twisted the primary crank until the timer engaged, an audible click echoing in the dark. Tick! A red pressure gauge began to rise. 60 seconds. The anchor pulsed. The hallucinations sharpened. Voices filled the cavern. Triac minds. Whispering. Promising. Pleading. You are human, limited, finite. We are beyond thought. We are order, logic, unity. Kale spat. You're scared. He pulled out a Terran military badge and jammed it into the side of the warhead. Personal data encoded in copper. A symbol of Earth. A memory trigger for Freya. For himself. Unity isn't real if it requires silence. 30 seconds. He turned and ran. The walls began to warp. The heat intensified. The anchor flared, trying to collapse space around him. He gritted his teeth, ignoring the visual distortions, climbing hand over hand. 10 seconds. He reached the rope, began hauling upward. 5. He screamed as a feedback pulse slammed into his chest. Pure force, not matter. 2. He cleared the ledge. 1. The world behind him detonated. The shockwave was silent. The heat wasn't. A blinding flash tore through the shaft, vaporizing the anchor and everything within 50 meters. And with it, the blackout field died. Above, the sky lit with life. Drones rebooted. Turrets turned. Suits powered. Systems sang. Kale rolled onto his back, coughing. Freya's voice came through, clear for the first time. Welcome back, Artificer. He smiled. Let's finish this war.